continue. Hello and welcome to tonight's virtual supporters club event with Republic of Ireland manager Stephen Kenny. Great to see so many of you already online and tuning in. Just expecting a few more numbers to come in for the time being, but just a few housekeeping things for tonight's event. Obviously, Stephen's going to do a presentation and run through a few things on the campaign so far, and you know, looking ahead to the campaign coming up this year. But also then at the end of that presentation, you get the chance to do a Q&A with Stephen to ask the question. Just make sure you put it in the chat function, and I'll read the questions out, and then you know, if you can just leave your name and where you're from, and then hopefully then we can proceed, and then Stephen will answer those questions as we go along. So looks like everyone's sort of getting into the chat now, so I'll just hand over to Stephen. Stephen, you ready to come in?
Yeah.
That should see that.
Can you hear me okay, Kieran?
I can hear you fine, Stephen. You'd be good to go.
That's great. No, I'd like to welcome everyone, really. I'm delighted to get the opportunity to speak directly to our supporters. I think it's 2 years since this month, actually in March, since I first took the under-21 team against Luxembourg at home. And that has obviously culminated in with taking my first international game as manager 6 months ago, which was the Bulgaria game in Bulgaria in the Nations League. So I think really what I wanted to capture was when Kieran suggested, we do a Q&A with the supporters. I just wanted to show maybe some of the journey of a lot of the players really over the last 18 months or so. So hopefully we can articulate that with some of the under-21 campaign, and then the 8 games subsequently, clips from the 8 games since September. Okay, Jared, if you want to put the screen on there. Okay, yeah, far away. Jared, you want to move that? I think the first tournament obviously was in Toulon, and we played China. Of course, Gus Hiddink managed China, and I think it was obviously a great start for us because we scored from the tip off. Really, we kept possession, and it was a great tournament really for the players. That you see Conor Masterson playing the pass to Aaron Connolly here, who takes on his defender and puts it in for Zach Albacete to score. And it was an introduction to the players to an international tournament under 21, very high standard. You see Conor Ronan, bit of skill here, and Aaron Connolly, again only 18 at this stage, getting another goal against China, and Adam Ida scoring 2 penalties in that game to put us. We won the group with Mexico, Tunisia, and China, and obviously played that great Brazil team in the semi-finals. A great experience for the players. Okay, so then next, moving on then onto the campaign, into the game against Armenia in Tala. With Caoimhín Kelleher, of course, some of the players that we see, Darragh O'Shea, now they're starting to emerge. Aaron Connolly, Jason Malumbi, Troy Parra, Adam Ida, all in this game. And you see Aaron Connolly on the left wing here. And it's good anticipation about the under-21 team. Good crowds coming to Tala, and Troy Parra's finishing, and it gives a picture that the players very confident. And moving on to the game in Sweden away, we see a good Sweden team, Kudelewski and Svanberg, of course, both playing in Serie A. Svanberg with Bologna there, scoring against Quivi in the, to put us 1-0 down, and very good Swedish team. So we had to regroup, and I think to control the game away from home and the way we did was exceptional, really, on the night down there. We see Johnny Afalabi here pulling the ball back, and Troy Parrott showing us quality. Again, Troy's only 17 here scoring this, and he's had mixed experiences over the last few months, but that's par for the course. I think Jason Malumbi taking the corner kick for Conor Masterson to take the lead in this game. So great spirit in the team, great camaraderie. That's what you want to build over a period of time. Share the joy with your teammates and have that sense of joy. That's very important. I think Sweden, obviously, again, some of the young players, these are great games for their development. Aaron Connolly winning it here and setting up Jason Malumbi, who sets up Troy Parrott to go and show great composure to finish in the manner that he does. And that was exceptional. Jer, can we make that a full screen? We can? Yeah. Italy at home. Record crowd in Tala. I think, sold out for weeks. We never had that with under-21 games before. They were the absolute, you couldn't get tickets for it. And Italy at Bastoni, Tonali, Moiskin, Catroni. So it was a good match. Go ahead. And just to try and establish control. When you play Italy, you think they're going to dominate you. Can you sit off them and counter? But no, that was never our intention, really. Go toe-to-toe with a top-class Italian team, all playing in Serie A, and try and control the game. Pass and movements in our 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3 system. And, players all comfortable in possession. And we see, we had long passages of play like that where we couldn't hit Adamida here, setting up Conor Ronan for a strike. We see Adamida. We see the build-up play. We move this along now, but certainly Zach Albacete crossing. But with good link play between Ida and Parrott, and that's something to look forward to. I feel Ida here, good awareness, back heel. Parrott, good finish, just unlucky there against Italy. So that was that game, finished 0-0, but it was one of the best 0-0s we've seen, because really the crowd, really got behind the team, and it was exciting. On to the next game, or my last game really then, as under-21 manager, Sweden at home. We didn't show, obviously, some of the other games in the campaign, but certainly here we are. Leo Connor, 1-0 down at this stage. We were 1-0 down at half-time. We came out at half-time. Adamida running down the right wing and pulling this back for Leo Connor to finish, and into the top corner, a terrific finish. And then we, good link-up play. Again, Adamida, good centre-forward play, not getting into the box too early. The pullback is important as a cross, and 2 goals off pullbacks into that area there for Forster O'Connor, then to Ida. Finish. Troy Parrott, look at his movement here. Brilliant. From the left flank, coming in, Conor Ronan picking him out, and him having the composure to finish. And the last goal to win 4-1, Conor Ronan, great energy, precision for Zach Albacete to finish. So that was my last game as under-21 manager. We did a good campaign, we were leading the group, but taking up the mantle then in September, or before that, obviously, but the first game in September against Bulgaria. If you want to play that on. Yeah, just culminating with the staff, and then just some of the ideas that we put in place with the front three, just to get a picture of Man City against Real Madrid, pressing with a front three. This concept very important. We see Gabriel Jesus here, Raheem Sterling, pressing from out to in. So all the time Sterling stopping the pass to the left back by the goalkeeper, and the full back's ready to jump, or by the centre back. So Ben Bowden acting as a controller, blocking the screener. So all screening the central midfield player, and we have Sterling here blocking that pass to the fullback. So they're forcing Madrid all the time back to the goalkeeper and waiting for their opportunity to pounce. Gabriel Jesus, he senses that danger then, and he robs Varane, who sets up Sterling to score 1-0. So to put that in practice with the Irish team against my first international against Bulgaria, we see Adam Ida, Aaron Connolly and Callum O'Dowda, Hurahan, Hendrick and James McCarthy, of course, as the holding player, and our front three ready to press their defence. And you see Aaron Connolly getting into position early on to stop that pass to the right back, cutting out the pass, intercepts it, beats the fullback. He's in on goal to pass to O'Dowda, but he shoots just wide. So we see the next game against Finland, similar picture. Connolly and Ida. You see Robbie Brady in that central area. Okay, and Brady's ready to pounce then off and he nicks it. And Adam Ida, good touch to Connolly. So we forced out a chance again. We've gone too wide, obviously, and it's pushed Ireland wide. Here we have Callum Robinson and Dave Mcgoldrick in a similar vein. Again, 4-3 working. Robinson robs it to Dave Mcgoldrick on his left foot. He's a great chance. He cuts back into his right and gets caught. Obviously, we're in pre-season at that stage. The players are in pre-season at that stage. And so that was one of the concepts that we tried to get that worked. We just didn't take our opportunities in those matches. The concept of establishing control is very important to me, and I think that's, regardless of who we're playing, we want to try and control the game. And I think the game against Bulgaria, we said an Irish team at that stage in the lead-up said couldn't dominate a game away from home possession-wise. That wasn't in the psyche or the mentality to try and dominate possession and control the game. So this is the way we sort of linked up in that game, some of the clips from the game. So Shane Duffy and John Egan. Egan's critical to the way we play. He's obviously one of our best players. He carries the ball with out of the back four, and he has terrific range of passing. Okay, let's see John travelling with it all the time. Just simple passes into James McCarthy, opening up the pitch. And all the time having the ability to do that. You see here, surveying the situation, John, they're man-to-man really, Bulgaria, but so he carries it and injects pace into the attack and carries it right up the pitch, just to release it simply. And that gets you right up the pitch, and I think he's excellent here. A range of passing from John, you see in that game against Bulgaria, able to stretch the play to Matt Doherty, and having the ability to do that gives you another dimension as a team. Okay. So that was some of the play in the Bulgaria game. We see in the October window, the game against Slovakia. Okay, play it under. We see that style of play then evolving. We see John Egan now. He's 30 yards from goal in the first half, and he's the centre back, and we're controlling play. We have all of our players in their half, and there's a passage of play before this even. But so we're dominating. This is the first half against Slovakia, and they're favourites to beat us in this game, and certainly, and we're away from home, and yet we're controlling the game. And I think obviously James McLean comes out here to Hurahan. We get McCarthy gets a good switch on it here. When it comes back out to Matt Doherty. So James plays it to Matt, so it puts in a decent cross, and it falls for James McLean enough. It gives a great chance really, and just blocked and get an opportunity to score. But our ability to go and do that away from home is, we're able to back up our ambition. And certainly there's Shane Duffy, great pass to David Mcgoldrick. And great run from Callum Robinson here. And you see, this is the chance to win it, of course. Robinson finds Alan Brown, who sets Conor Hurahan up. And him or David could have stuck that in from 6 yards. So that was to win it. That was to put us through against Northern Ireland with 4 minutes to go to qualify for the Euro. So that was the margin. Here's an extra time. Some of the play. And the Stevens, Conor Hurahan we see Callum O'Dowd, a brilliant play by O'Dowd here, and Brady linking up to find Alan Brown, who hits the post. And again, we had other chances, but that was just giving you a picture of some of the play. Matt Doherty, obviously, we lose on penalties, and it's very difficult to take. The margins are fine, but in the game that we, I think we definitely deserve to win. We moved on to the next. Obviously, there's a big impact. The impact of COVID-19. I think we lost Aaron Connolly and Adam Ida as close contacts of false positives. So for that Slovakia game, which was very, very difficult to take. And then for the Welsh game, we lost 12 players in the 2 windows. So that was a huge. A lot of the players didn't have COVID. It was just they were on the flight, and the international rules. Ireland has the most stringent rules with 2 meters, and our letter of we were stringent in enforcement of it. We didn't see other European countries missing players, even though they had COVID cases with players on flights. So we were very honest and complicit as a nation in terms of we lost players where I'm not so sure other countries would have. But I think we did have some COVID cases in the last window, particularly as well that hurt us. So that's part of the learning curve for us, and it's our objectives. We've learned a lot of lessons, and we've all learned lessons, and the good thing about going into this camp in March is that, a high percentage of players have had COVID at this stage. So that's reduces the risk, obviously, of more players getting it. So that was part of our story, and we don't want to dwell on it, but it's just something that we all learned a lot from. Okay. I think our game against Wales on the morning of the match, obviously, 5 players ruled out because of the flight and so forth. So that was go and play that. We played Wales. Again, they've Aaron Ramsey playing, Daniel James, good front 3, Kiefer Moore. But I thought we played quite well in it. In a game of not that many chances, we were slightly in the ascendancy overall. Here we run it. Here we see Jason Malumbi. That's Friesinger, is it?
Just reload Joe's presentation there, Stephen. Just hang on a second. Just frozen. You see that now, Stephen?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, Jason Malumbi. We see Jason showing a speed through the midfield. And, that was important, obviously, making his debut in that game, or sorry, second game really. See Jeff Hendrick playing James McLean here. Some good play in the match. And the Stevens, good cross for Shane Long to just head over. So we had some good passage of play. We see the game on the Tuesday against Finland, Wales 0-0. They had no chances really, Wales. This game against Finland, tough second away trip in 6 days. So we've got to go. Enda Stevens is in on goal here and hits the bar, to take the lead. So brilliant play by Enda. Very unlucky, really, coming from left back. So we see Matt Doherty coming in field, and some good play all around and joining in the box, Matt. So he started the attack. Robbie Brady's crossed it. Matt flicks it on, and Ronan Curtis, of course, has his header signed by Hadraki, who was the best goalkeeper we came across. It was excellent for Finland. Really excellent. And here's Aaron Connolly. This gives us a glimpse of what we can expect with Aaron. His speed causing problems. He was 5 days in isolation, actually, coming into this game. So you see Daryl Horgan, he should pick him out. And his decision making, obviously, he's learning the game, but his sheer speed and talent, he gives us something playing in the central area for sure. And he's in on goal. He just takes it too wide, and Hadraki saves it here. Again, this is the goal we conceded. We're disappointed to concede it. Okay, we move on to England. There's one or two other chances in that Finland game we didn't show, did we? But Jared. Okay, we move on. We move on to the England friendly. Okay.
That was it, Stephen. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Grant. The again, the just hold that there for a second, Jared, if you can. You know, I think England obviously played very well on the night and deservedly beat us well. But we started in the opening 20 minutes quite well. And here's some of the passages of play that we started. Here's Shane Duffy. Go ahead, play. Cyrus Christie. Again, great touch from Adam Ida for Daryl Horgan to play Alan Brown. Again, great run by Daryl Horgan. And it's a good cross for Callum O'Dowda to get in on top. But obviously, Reece James defends it very well. And it's recycled. And when they're playing a back three like that, England, you know, you want to get your wingers between their wing back and centre backs, and Daryl Horgan was very aware of that, and I think Jeff Hendrick plays a good pass here, as you see. And Jeff puts Daryl in, and it's a great little cross across the box. We don't react in the box, and we've got to get across and get on the end of it, and it's a great chance really for us. We see some good passes of play here. Jeff Hendrick playing Alan Brown in between the lines. You know, we see Shane Duffy here playing that pass in for Alan Brown, and players showing a bit of confidence in the game overall, in possession, in periods. Here we have Robbie Brady putting in Alan Brown. You know, Nick Pope saves it well. We see Matt Doherty here, and again Jason Malumbi, someone who is gives us something different. Speed in the midfield, the ability to carry the ball, and we see Ronan Cortes again, another player getting an opportunity, coming in and getting a strike on it that Pope saves. But we saw Adam Ida running against Michael Keane here, getting him on the turn and running, showing his pace. And you know, it's great to have a player with pace like that. Just if we can just hold it there, really. This was a learning curve for us. We went through the campaign, didn't concede any goals from set plays, from wide free kicks, or directly from corner kicks. But this is a lesson that we can take into the World Cup campaign, and you know, an expensive lesson in the friendly. But I think you know, we see they've England throw everyone forward really here. So they've got Saka ringing the box on the left and Harry Winks on the right, and we've got Callum O'Dowda on the post. So the dilemma is, do you take someone off the post? Do you not? When goals are scored in, people say, why don't you have someone on the post? I don't understand it. But this is why sometimes Callum is on the near post for the short corner, but if they're putting it in the box, he drops onto the back post. But as we can see it on the second phase from corner kicks twice in the game, and that's a big lesson for us. Okay, we can just play that. So here's Harry Winks, picks it up and plays it in for Harry Maguire to head up. You know, and I think it's for us to concede like that is disappointing, and this is a carbon copy really. Well, not a carbon copy, different goal, but we clear the first header. Obviously Winks is the spare man, picks it up again and crosses it. We clear it again. We have an opportunity to clear our lines and we don't, and that's a mistake. And I think they recycle it this side, and Sancho sticks it through Jeff Hendrick's legs and into the net. And I think 2-0, it's a completely different game, and obviously they're much more in the ascendancy, and they were quite well on top for periods in the last 20 minutes, the first half, and the first 20 minutes of the second. So I think, but to concede 2 goals, 3-0 really, 2 goals on a penalty kick, which probably wasn't a penalty. To concede 2 from second phase on set plays was a big lesson for us, and one that we can't allow again in the World Cup campaign, because directly from corner kicks, directly from wide free kicks, we've been very solid getting forced contacts really on everything. And I think that is a good learning curve for us, and better to do it there than in the World Cup campaign, and hopefully we can make sure we're right in that way. again, we go to Wales and Cardiff. A great game for us. I think the play-in, they've got Gareth Bale, of course, playing, and Daniel James, David Brooks. They have a good front three. Go ahead, play that. So it's a quick turnaround for us, and James McLean comes into the team. Some changes in the team, some rotation. Daryl Horgan. We see Robbie Brady here, and of course we lost Alan Brown before that with COVID, but haven't lost Callum Robinson. But Doherty to Horgan, good cross, and again we're getting on the end of it, and Robbie Brady strikes it just over the top of the crossbar. So some good play in that first half. But we learned Wales played 3-4-3 against us, and we learned some lessons against England, and we managed to. Although England are a higher standard than Wales with their midfield players, and we certainly it's great play there from Brady to McLean. We learned some tactical lessons, and were able to implement them against Wales' system. So we had good chances in the game, and I think that was a good lesson for us. Obviously, we lost 1-0. Gareth Bale headed it back for them to score, for Brooks to score, but certainly. We took something from that game. That put us into the game against Bulgaria at home in the Nations League, which was an interesting game from our point of view, because we had, if Bulgaria beat us, going back to the previous Nations League campaign, we found that, we knew that Ireland were relegated. They had a tough group at that time, Wales and Denmark. So I think it was very important from our point of view that we weren't relegated. If Bulgaria beat us in that match, we're relegated. If we draw, they're relegated. If they beat us, we're relegated. It's not something to celebrate, nor were we in a celebratory mode. But we still didn't want that to happen to us, to get down to Group C. And I think that was very important. But nevertheless, we still took risks with our selection. We started with Ryan Manning at left back, gave him his debut. Darragh O'Shea at right back, gave a debut to Jason Knight in the central midfield. Gave an opportunity with James Collins coming into the team, and so a lot of changes. Ronan Curtis getting his first competitive start. So this is a lot of learnings from the game against Bulgaria. So here we are. Just to show you clips from it, if we can. So in the first half, we started nervously. We gave away a couple of passes and created our own problems, really. And Shane Duffy got the ball away. Jason Knight this time gives it away. And Bulgaria looked dangerous, and we didn't play well in the first half. And I think we didn't get a passing game going. And I think, but that's really all they had. They didn't really have any other chances in the game. That was it. From our point of view, we created some good chances in the game. Here we are. We see Josh Cullen, who did really well, and when he came into that game and is having a brilliant spell, a really excellent spell at Anderlecht, and we're delighted with Josh at the moment. Go and play. He puts Troy Parrott in here and tries offside. So we see, and this time Daryl Horgan, one-on-one, when he sizes someone up like this, his quality on his crossing is always good. And I think he crosses for James Collins, who heads over into that opportunity. Here's another opportunity for time. Just on James Collins shows good movement from Darragh O'Shea's cross just into the side netting. And this time, Jason Knight, we see his quality, like his drive and his energy. Simple pass for Ronan Curtis, who should score, but it's Knight, after making a mistake early on, shows his character by still having the capacity to do that. Here we are with Robbie Brady later in the game, striking off the bar. He has the capacity to do that. As you well know, over the years, Robbie Brady, brilliant striker of the ball. So hits the bar in that game to draw. So we're not pleased with the result, but the important thing from our point of view, we've blooded a lot of players, we've got a lot out of it, and we definitely have retained our Group B status. In the windows, in those 3 windows over 3 months, we have given 10 players their international competitive debut. Well, 9 plus Aaron Connolly, who did play in Switzerland in the last campaign, did play in Switzerland. But he's come through the system. So Aaron Connolly plus 9 players who've had their first competitive debut, really. Josh Cullen and Jack Bourne have played friendlies, but that's their first competitive game that they've played in the Nations League, and a lot of them can gain experience. So Ryan Manning from the Mayorview Club in Galway, Jason Malumbi from Villa and Waterford, Josh Cullen obviously came through West Ham Academy in London, Jason Knight from Cabinteely, Darragh O'Shea from the St Kevin's Club, from Temple Ogan from the St Kevin's Club, and Jack Bourne also from St Kevin's, Ronan Curtis from Derry City, Troy Parda from the Belvedere Club, Adam Ada from College Corinthians in Cork, and Aaron Connolly from Mayorview as well. So all of those players, bar Josh, who has been an Irish international from, I think he might have played under 18s or possibly under 16s. So they've all come through our system. The other 9 through the Irish system, Josh through the English system, and all in our international, the pyramid right through to under 21s into the senior team. And those 10 players in the previously between Jeff Hendrick and Robbie Brady, who are now 28, and Aaron Connolly, in that 8-year period, the only player to come through really in that was Alan Brown, who played twice subsequently, and maybe Shani McGuire, who had 1 start in Gibraltar in a competitive game. So all of these players, when you add Nathan Collins to that, who's going to come in for sure, and the 2 goalkeepers, Queevy and Mark, plus attacking players to come through still, like Michael Obafemi and others, and Will Smallbone. So we've other players to come through as well. So I think we can be optimistic about the pathway and the opportunity given to players. Just having a look at the overall squad then. Again, one of the things that's given us is huge choice now. I have a real dilemma when I'm selecting the squad. So by capping 10 players or putting 10 players in their competitive debut, obviously that increases your options. And we obviously brought some other players into the squad also. So we have a lot of options. Obviously we're stronger in some positions than others, which is the nature of a country of our size. But I'd be optimistic about what we have going forward, and I think a lot of talented players and a lot of players really making their mark at championship level and in the Premiership. Some of our attacking players haven't got the game time, haven't progressed as quickly as we would have hoped, but certainly the room for optimism with with a lot of the players putting in terrific displays this season, and we'll be part of the World Cup campaign starting in March, and we're really excited about that. Okay. Just the fixtures for the year. We see Serbia in March, and we play Luxembourg and Qatar, and we have the June friendlies coming up to friendly games, and then we have Portugal in September in the Aviva. So we're talking about playing Serbia. Obviously, they're a quality team. We know that, and it's the first game away from home. It's a tough start out. You're opening 3 games away to Serbia, and we're 3 games in the campaign. But we're certainly not complaining about that. We're meeting the challenge head on, and we're certainly looking forward to getting ready for the game against Serbia in March. Luxembourg at home. And then with the Portugal away, which is a great game in September, and hopefully fans will get out and these games now. That'll be really special. The Republic of Ireland against Azerbaijan, then 3-game windows. That's new for players, and the players have found that a challenge. The 3-game windows. We've got 2 away trips. And normally players would have come in on a Sunday, have 5 days to sort of ease into the training, maybe play on Saturday, sometimes Friday, Saturday, and then play on the Tuesday and then go home. But now they're in in on Sundays. You fly to Saturday and Monday, match day -1, next day again on Tuesday, and again Wednesday. And you have 3 game windows, 3 6 days, 2 away games. Obviously, we play in Serbia and Hungary. This time against Slovakia and Finland in 6 days. But these are new challenges for players, and but they're not just their challenges for every country. So the team that adapts best will achieve, I feel. And we've had good experience with this in pre-stream windows, and we learned a lot. And I think we're going to the ground running in March. We're preparing, the very best we can for the games against Serbia. Really looking forward to them. And when you go right through the campaign, culminating in Portugal at home in November, which is a magical game. Hopefully we have those points will be very important to us before we travel to Luxembourg away. So, plenty to look forward to in the World Cup campaign ahead. And that concludes sort of the presentation, and I'm certainly available to answer any questions that anyone wants to put forward, for sure.
Thank you very much, Stephen. I'm sure you can all appreciate the presentation there. I hope you can hear me just fine. We've had plenty of questions already. We've had plenty to start at the very top with Mark Prendergast. Hi, Stephen. All really insightful. How are you keeping in contact with players with restrictions in place at present? How are you overcoming the challenges at present when you're all together? How are you finding the players who are positive? Best of luck.
Sorry, Kieran. Yeah, you're breaking up there. You'll have to ask that question again, or
Sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry. You hear me now?
I can hear you fine. Yeah.
Just a question from Martin Prendergast. All really insightful. How are you in contact with players with restrictions at present? I'm finding the players are all positive and behind you at the moment.
Sorry, Kieran. No, can't hear your question there. Unfortunately, maybe Jer can ask the question. If you can send it to Jer, maybe you can ask it.
Yeah, I couldn't hear it either, Stephen, unfortunately.
Okay. You hear me now, Stephen? Okay. Yeah, you can hear me now, Stephen. Yep. Yep. Sorry. Question from Martin. All really insightful. How are you keeping in contact with the players with the current restrictions in place? How are you overcoming the challenges within camp when you're all together for a long time to get your messages across and integrate some of the newer players socially? Are you finding players are all positive and behind you? Best of luck. Stephen, if you just want to unmute yourself there as well before you answer the question.
Yeah, I think there are challenges in the current climate for sure for everyone, and we have to learn to that. I think I was very grateful to get a sporting exemption. I did the national manager recently, which gave me the license to travel to England, which I was very grateful for. So since Christmas week, I managed to get 28 games. I only came back from England yesterday, in fact, and the last game was my fourth. So I think about 28 games in in that period is that's been a great opportunity, because before that I wasn't on any games because it wasn't given the opportunity because of the strict quarantine laws we had in Ireland, and the laws of the country. So it was an opportunity to get the games, and I've spent majority of time in England between from Christmas onwards, and I think I've seen some terrific games. Obviously, it's still without fans and it's still unusual, but it was a great opportunity to see everyone right throughout England, and so that was really good. Keeping in contact with players. Normally you could do that, you go meet them for a coffee or something like that, but you can't do that now, of course. There's no coffee shops open, you can't even meet them in a hotel. Even in any hotels that I was staying in, you just couldn't leave your room, you know, you had to eat in your room, you were locked down, you couldn't move out of your room, so you can't really meet players. I think, and they're all in their bubbles, of course, so they're not allowed to interact with other people outside of their bubble, so you have to be careful not to transgress that. And I think so we're able to speak to people on the phone, communicate with them, you know, see how they're doing, check in with them, and so you know, it's been I think, you know, the players are well aware that they haven't been in the World Cup since Korea and Japan 2002. I'm not sure if any of you were at that World Cup. I'm sure you have anyone that has probably incredible experiences from that. And you know, it certainly has to be our ambition to try and qualify. And I think at least it has to be our ambition to split Portugal and Serbia and try and qualify for the playoffs. And I think we put ourselves in contention. And you know, I know it's a tough ask with sort of the evolving nature of bringing a lot of players into the squad. It's our most talented group that we've had in years in terms of young players coming through. But I think it's still very exciting. Big challenges ahead, of course. But I know a lot of the players playing for Ireland means so much to them. And I don't know if support. You know, I'm sure you do realise that, but it's only when you become manager, first of all, in the 21 team, you see with the young players that observe, and even some of the young players at the 19 and 17 level, like Ireland, they are devastated to be left out of squads. And the senior international team, despite that pressure, despite at times being under pressure for the club managers about not turning up because they may have been injured or might be a busy schedule ahead, and there might be nursing injuries and so forth. All of the players are, you know, I find a lot of them are just so proud to play for Ireland that they want to continue to turn up, and that's very evident.
Stephen, I'm just you're a bit crackly. Can I ask you to leave out of it and come back in? Because I think we're just getting a bit of feedback from your side. You're just a bit crackly at the moment. So if you could come out and then maybe just refresh it and then come back in, I think that might help, okay? Just give you 2 minutes to sort that out, that end if possible. If you could just be patient with us, guys, we're just trying to sort out Stephen's end, because it's absolutely pointless if you can't hear the manager when he wants to answer these questions so insightfully. So just give us a second here and we'll try and get him back in. Obviously, we're all on home internet at the moment, and his internet in Blackrock might not be up to the standard of what it is, or maybe someone else is streaming stuff in his house. So we'll just wait until he comes back in. Stephen, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Kieran. Yeah, sure.
Now that's much better. There we go. That's what we want. Okay, so we'll just crack on then. Emmett Murphy in Cork. Hello, Stephen. Have you had any contact with Liam Delap at Man City?
You know, I don't like discussing individual cases with players, but yeah, we are. You know, it is someone we're very aware of, and of course, you know, going back a few years, Colin O'Brien for the under-17s indicated some interest, and obviously up to recently with Jim Crawford's under-21s, and Liam has a proud tradition. In fact, that his dad Rory represented Ireland with great distinction, and he's a good prospect, but he's part of the England setup at the moment, and we have to respect that.
Caroline from Longford, have you considered bringing Aidan McGeady back into the squad with the form he's in and the amount of assists he's getting for Sunderland?
Yeah, we are conscious of there is obviously a big, when you go to the games, an obvious gulf between the Premier League and the Championship, and obviously then when you go to Championship and League One, there's a big jump between League One and the Championship as well, a decent jump. And I think Rory Higgins is actually at our chief scout is going to the cup final on Sunday. Sunderland are playing Tranmere in the cup final, at Wembley, and I know Aidan McGeady and Aidan O'Brien are playing for Sunderland, and Leo O'Connor for Tranmere. So Rory is going to that game to report on it, and we can't rule anyone. We have to cast our net wide and examine all our options, of course.
Gerard Blair from the Republic of Ireland Supporters Group Western Branch. Stephen, is there any truth in the rumours of David Mcgoldrick returning to the squad, and would you encourage his return for the upcoming game? So a question on David Mcgoldrick there, Stephen.
Yeah, listen, David is a tremendous individual, really someone, although he is really a fundamentally quiet person, he possesses sort of a bit of an aura and some leadership qualities, I feel. He was terrific in the short period I had him in at his game against Slovakia. He was outstanding in that game. And there was some speculation, of course, recently over the social media account. And I didn't, because I went to see Sheffield United playing recently, and David was sub, and I was in the director's box just sitting there, and David came over to join me and to chat, because in the sub sit in the stand now, they don't sit in the dugout anymore. So before the game, came over and had a good chat with me, and we were chatting about, I asked him, did he watch the Slovakia game back, and he said he did, and I asked him what he thought, and he thought we played really well, and said he felt we were excellent, and he's still coming to terms with not losing the game on penalties. And then midweek, then it was activated his social media account, and I did speak to him, and he said no, his social media account was hacked over 6 months ago, and he only reactivated it, and it still had went back to having his Ireland jersey and so forth on, but he just wasn't in a position to commit to coming back to playing for Ireland. Toll that football takes on his body, and it's private reasons, there's family reasons, and just that's where he is. He'd already made a decision to retire at the end of that European campaign from a good while ago, and you have to respect his decisions, although I have to height respect him and for him, and he is an excellent player, there's no doubt.
Dennis Jenkins from the Republic of Ireland Soccer Supporters Club in London. Stephen, is there any chance you would be using this campaign to blood some of the under-21s into the senior squad, like Darrow, Shea, Troy Parrott, etc.? Also, is Josh Cullen being considered into the squad, and are you keeping tabs on Connor Noss and John Joe Patrick Finn? Yeah,
well, of course, going to those, John Joe Patrick Finn, of course, he has the option of playing for Spain and England, of course, and ourselves, and we did speak to his mother and John Joe, and over on a call, and to be fair to Tom Moan and Jim Crawford, but brilliant presentation together, because his father was obviously a Ballyhonus man and grew up in Ballyhonus, and he did a brilliant presentation. All his ex-teammates, you know, at Ballyhonus, and all the people in the town, and we're all part of the presentation, and he was quite touched by it, and he's considering his options. Obviously, he's played in Spain for the last while, so they're a big draw for him, and so we wait and see, you know, in relation to the under-21 team, and that likewise with Conor Nuss. Tom Moan had him in the under-19s, and we'll see how he goes with that. Who else was it? Kieran Nuss.
Conor Nuss, and then he spoke about Josh Cullen as well. Josh
Cullen, yeah. Of course, Josh is without doubt in the squad next week. He's had a terrific period with Anderlecht. I feel I watched a good bit of him with Charlton and different times, and I really feel he's taking his game up a level going to Anderlecht, and definitely more progressive in his passing, looking forward. You know, showing great dynamism around the midfield, and the games are very open. It's a very athletic league. The games are very open. They're not tactical, cagey affairs. And what I like about it, he's really embraced the opportunity to go there, and really shown the determination to do well. And yeah, Josh Cullen's been terrific. So that was, you know, he gives us a good option.
David asks, hello Stephen, are you keeping tabs on Jamie McGrath's form at St Mirren and also Callum O'Hare at Coventry City?
Yeah, well, Jamie McGrath, of course, I know, because I had him at Dundalk, and he's doing well at St Mirren, and long may that continue. And hopefully he continues to do well. The Callum O'Hare, like, contrary to Callum O'Hare, is a good player, and you know, our international department, we're in contact with Callum and his agent, and you know, he doesn't qualify. You know, contrary to reports, a lot of players who are mentioned who people think qualify. I think, you know, people from Irish families in England, great Irish families in England, and we think that they qualify, but if it's a great grandparent, they don't qualify now, and that's been a bit of a problem for us, where we thought a few players qualified, and when you go to check out, sometimes it's the great grandparent, and then that rules them out. We've seen that with Kieran Dowell, who we thought qualified, Callum O'Hare, Jack O'Connell, Nathan Redmond, you know, and so these players don't, you know, people think that they qualify, but sometimes it's one generation removed, and that's what we found to be the case.
Yeah, I'm just going through the questions here. We've had about 100 questions, so if you are asking a question, make sure you do leave your name if possible, because it'd be better. I think this is more of David Dunn from London. Hi Stephen, considering how disappointing the senior midfielders have been, is it time to roll the dice with Cullen, Knight and maybe Malumbi, considering how well they've done and how they seem to fit perfectly into your new system?
Yeah, there is competition for places, and you know, it's you know, Josh, Jason Malumbi and Jason Knight, who's now captain of Derby County, has done really well. You know, but we can't discount Conor Hurhan having a good spell at Swansea now, showing his quality. Jeff Hendrick has found himself out of the team, played last week for Newcastle. The Premier League is up a level again, so there's that dilemma. But yeah, I mean, there's certainly, and of course Alan Brown, who's captain of Preston and doing really well. Like, for Preston, I've seen Preston twice in the last week, and Alan, I feel Alan it could be an important World Cup campaign for Alan. You know, I think he's someone who could really contribute. I feel he's really improved technically over the last couple of years and come on a ton. And yeah, so there's genuine competition there. So I'm sure they'll all contribute over the 8 World Cup qualifying games and some of the friendlies. But yeah, no, I'm sure that they all have a part to play, and we will lose some players through injury and so forth as well. So they're all important parts of our squad, I feel.
Kieran from Nina, do you see Jack Byrne featuring for Ireland again under your management once he recovers from injury? And do you think Apparel was a good move for him from an international career perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I do. Jack Byrne, you know, is a different type of player to what we have. You know, he's a very unique player, and he has a terrific range of passing. You feel that the tempo of the game in Cyprus would suit his style of play for sure. You feel, you know, his incisive passing, and yes, he does have a future with Ireland. Is a good move. It's a difficult question. What do you compare it to? It's a difficult question to answer. But if they are in European competition, which they have been in regularly because they won the league, they've been dominant team in Cyprus for a number of years. Obviously, this is their worst season in a decade or whatever. So they've been dominant as a team winning the league in Cyprus, but this is a weak season for them. So I think they're trying to win the cup, aren't they, to get back into Europe? So we'll see how that goes for them, and it'll be interesting to see how he goes. There are some good teams in the Cypriot league, so we can't discount anything, and we have to examine all of the games. All of the games are available on Wisecout and Instat, and you know, we have to get the games. We will once everything calms down on the COVID. For sure, we'll monitor everyone.
John Kelly from Derry and Sean from Cork City have basically asked the same question, so I'll just sort of surmise it. They're asking about what are the chances of Michael Duffy, Dundalk getting a potential call-up, and anyone across the League of Ireland catching your eye?
Yeah, well, Michael, you know, I signed Michael Duffy, and I know him so well, and when he went at his best, the season he had in my last season, he was absolutely terrific. He Player of the Year, he won Player of the Year, and he was amazing. And he had a groin injury the following season, and played half of that season. And last year, he had interrupted time with injuries. When he plays to his full potential, he's a really exciting player. And he just needs to get to that level of being fit, fully fit, injury-free, and hopefully Dundalk have a good European campaign, and he can show what he can do in Europe as well. So we'll see how Michael gets on. We've not got loads of left wingers. You know, he can play on either flank really, so we can't discount that. In League of Ireland terms, obviously, in my first under-21 squad, you know, we named 8 and eventually 10 ended up playing. 10 League of Ireland players played in that squad. And so a lot of players come through the under-21 team. Obviously, Jack Byrne against Wales, his appearance against Wales and then subsequently against Bulgaria as a substitute, was the first League of Ireland player to make a competitive game. I think nearly, it could be 30 years since Pat Byrne was the last, I believe. I stand corrected on that, but so that's you know, that's something in itself. We need, like, we've got young players coming through. You know, Darren Lee at left back, I felt he has to nail down a place in the Dundalk team now this year, but he did very well for the under-21 international team. You know, I thought he could really push on when I had him last year in the campaign, because he's a terrific defender and somebody you can trust. Great character. So there are lots of players in the league. We've called Graham Burke and Aaron McInnifian in the last window from Shamrock Rovers. Graham is again a unique player and quite talented, and Aaron subsequently moved to Hearts in Scotland. So we'll monitor the players. They've both been in our provisional squad, if you like, of players named in till we narrow it down during the week. You know, the clubs have been notified and so forth. So yeah, we'll see. We'll monitor the league. I can't go to the President's Cup because I'm because of my quarantine from only getting home from England, and I have to quarantine for a period, and so I can't go to President's Cup. But I'll be watching on TV.
John from Waterford asks about the qualities Anthony Barry will bring as a coach, and why did you choose him to come into the setup?
Yes, well, I think Anthony's someone I've sort of been aware of it, for a while, just chatting through his friendship with Rudy Higgins. They were in the U team at Coventry City together as players. They did their A license together for 2 years, and they formed a bond and a friendship. And I was well aware of him sort of through that relationship and through his assistance of Paul Cook, who I know, of course, Paul from his time at Sligo Rovers, a very good manager, and Anthony assisted Paul for 3 years at Wigan, and then he got a move to Chelsea under Frank Lampard and was working under Frank Lampard, and then was forging a good reputation for himself. And under Thomas Tuchel, he's still part of the existing coaching staff. So he just felt he had good attributes and would fit into the team in the position, because Keith Andrews is an assistant manager and an excellent assistant manager and a very strong character, and someone who I've had a relationship with, who worked with me for 18 months with the Irish under-21s, and Anthony skill set, I think he fits into the team quite well and will be a good addition.
Plenty more. There's so many questions coming in. We'll give it a few, maybe 10 more, 15 minutes. Try and fit in as many as possible. Mark Madden here asks, "Hi folks, Stephen, would there be any chance the Ireland team could do a training session in the northwest of Ireland? We have the biggest supporters club in Ireland in Derry, and like the rest of Ireland, we sometimes feel if you're out of Dublin, you don't care." Stephen, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the logistical issue is that with the 3-game windows, like we're in some of the, like Sky used to have 2 matches on a Sunday, one at 2 o'clock and one at 4 o'clock. Now they have 5 games. So there's matches in the morning, there's matches at 7:30 on a Sunday night. So a lot of our players are involved in the games on Sundays. And so traditionally you would have got them in on Sunday at 2 o'clock. Now you sometimes don't come in till Monday morning because they might have played Sunday night or Sunday evening and there's no flights, or you can't get a flight. You come in Monday morning, and for example, our games on Wednesday, so you have no time to prepare. This time what we're doing is actually because of the COVID issue and because we've learned a lot from the last camp, and we don't have players on individual flights coming over, and just time constraints. We're going to meet in Manchester on the Sunday night. On the Sunday, some of the players are playing on the Sunday, and we're going to train at Man City on Monday morning, and then fly to Serbia straight away, and then you're match day -1. So with the game on Wednesday, and then you fly home on Thursday, you train on the Friday and play Luxembourg Saturday, and then we're on a flight to Hungary the following day. So that's the sort of nature of the sort of modern international window. So you can't just sort of, it's difficult to take a training session and the travelling involved to go to, like, of course, I lived in the Northwest for 10 years in Donegal, and and lived and worked in Derry for 6 years, and I'd love to take the team around the country, of course, and hopefully we get an opportunity to do that in the future for sure. And so that is something, but logistically it is difficult. I wouldn't like to promise something we can't deliver on. Logistically it is difficult, but of course we want to go around the country where, you know, we want to represent all parts of Ireland.
A certain former League of Ireland referee, Paul, asks, priority, sexy football or 3 points? Quite a straightforward question there. So sexy football or 3 points?
Of course, listen, we want to win games, and you know, the objective, it's not an either or. Why does it have to be an either or, you know? I think why can you not, you know, I don't accept that it's not in our DNA that we can't play. We have to play in a more direct style of football, you know, and I think all of those players that people are mentioning, all those young players coming through, they've grown up at 15s, 16s, 17s, 18s, 21s playing a very attractive style of football, and why, when they get to the senior team, should they just abandon that? And they're all good technical players. So I do think that it is up a level, the senior international team. It is up a level again, so the challenge is greater. But it's not. It doesn't have to be an either or question. We can win playing in a way that we want it. We have a great desire to play, and that has to be our ambition.
There's a great question here from Nolan Devlin from Armagh, and I know you feel quite strongly about this, Stephen. Stephen, whilst many of us are struggling with personal issues, do you impress upon the players just how privileged they are to be allowed to play for their country during this pandemic? And are they aware of the positive contribution they can make towards the mental health of all Irish supporters by representing the entire nation on the pitch? Nolan Devlin, great question.
Yeah, you know, I think everyone's affected by COVID, and the players themselves. Let's not think that, you know, they know it's a privilege playing for Ireland. They know the impact that they can make if they're successful. And football, like no other sport, lifts the nation. Like, as supporters, you've all been part of that. You've all experienced it. And you experience the lows, experience the highs and the lows. I think the players individually, some of them, you know, we found even some players, you know, some players might be single, might be in a flat or an apartment training. Now you go to a training ground. They used to go to a dressing room and gym early in the morning, train, you know, go to the gym afterwards, eat in the canteen or eat in the restaurant together and socialise together. Now they're just turning up at training grounds and not showering, not training, just training on the grass and going home and getting a bit of a packed lunch and going home, and probably back in their apartments at 12 or 1 o'clock, and they can't socialise with anyone. They could be in a city that they've just moved to recently and they're on their own in that period, and they can't, under COVID, they can't go out of the bubble. And so it's not straightforward for the players either at the moment. A lot of them, some of them have lost family members. So it isn't straightforward for all of the players either. But yes, to answer your question, they adore playing for Ireland. You know, it is the biggest honour in their career. They know that. Players are devastated when they're left out of squads, and they know they understand the impact the penalty shootout against Slovakia would have, you know, the positive impact that would have had, and they do understand that for sure.
We're going to the final few questions. We've sort of come towards the end of it. Just Gerard Looney, with so many defenders in the squad, would you not think of changing system to a 3-5-2? Best of luck, Stephen.
Yeah, no, it's a valid question. I think it's a valid question. I think we can't discount playing with a back three and in certain games. You know, we have to be tactically flexible. depending on the players we have at our disposal, because it does vary from camp to camp who you have with injuries. A back three doesn't suit all our defenders, and I think, but it does suit certain players, and I think certainly the overall shape of the team is important, and we can't discount that for sure. We have to have a degree of flexibility in the way we play, depending on the challenge, the opposition, and the players that we have available.
And just we'll make this the final question. I know there's been so many questions.
I don't mind staying.
All right, we'll carry on then. All right, Stephen, fair enough.
I don't mind.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so Kevin Dunphy asks, how do you solve the Matt Doherty, Seamus Coleman conundrum? Can they both be accommodated in the same team?
Yeah, I am confident that they can. You know, I just haven't had, obviously, the first game leading into the Slovakia game, we played 4-3-3, and Matt had just come off brilliant run of form at Wolves in the Europa League, and it just moved to Spurs and got a great move, you know, at that time. But his form at the end of last season for Wolves was outstanding, and they scored a lot of goals and was involved in creating a lot of goals and in Europe and in the Premier League. And but I think Seamus is a brilliant captain, and obviously an outstanding human being, and he's played really well this season, and just been unfortunate with the hamstrings. Had 2 hamstring injuries, and it's obviously that's ruled him out from the derby a couple of weeks ago. He hasn't played, but we're hopeful that he's back this weekend. I didn't have him in the last 2 camps because of the hamstring injuries. But yeah, they are 2 of our better players, and you know, part of your job as manager is to get a system, you know, that maximises the potential of your team, and they are 2 of our better players. So, you know, I am cognizant of that, and you know, they're 2 terrific players, and you know, it doesn't always have to be one or the other. And although in some matches maybe it will be, but there definitely is opportunities for the 2 of them to play together, for sure.
Hugh Kenner asks a very good question here. Hi Stephen, enjoyed the presentation. Just a question on the way we play. Looking at the under-20 games, the system is great. Do you think in March that we'll have enough youth to play in that system? I think he's referring to maybe the energy that the system requires there, Stephen. I think it will come good soon, though, Stephen. That's what he finishes off with.
Yeah, I think, listen, what we want, our ambition is to have the majority of our best players available, and then we can put out our best team that we can possibly have. You know, I've already articulated some of the issues. Apart from COVID, we had quite a few missing with injuries as well in that period. But we want our best squad available. I think obviously we're missing a few in this window, and already, but we should have still a strong squad. And so I think so we're definitely looking forward to that now, for sure.
James Barr from the Derry Supporters Club. Hi Stephen, what is the one thing you are most surprised about since becoming our national manager? ... Good or bad? Good question.
Listen, we couldn't have predicted this whole COVID pandemic and some of the issues that brings up. You know, for me as a manager, I had all of these ideas coming in relation to how we would keep the players in good form, and they'd look forward to coming in, and some of the top class musicians we had to organise the play in the hotel, that interactive history museum in Dublin. We were going to go into that, and just, you know, the sense of history and so forth. And I think I had a load of ideas, you know, in relation to what we could help the players really enjoy, apart from, because they can be quite intense, and so it's important that they look forward to coming all the time. And I think that hasn't been the case because of COVID, where you're going into your room, you can't get out, you're in a meeting. So all of that has been very, very strange. So the surprising element of that, it's been difficult to compare to what it would be like in normal circumstances. I think that's that certainly is the case, and sometimes I suppose the difference, a lot of stuff that gets written sometimes isn't accurate, and people present it as fact, and it isn't, but that's the nature of life, and that sometimes is that's part of it, and you just have to, something you just have to live with.
Steve Tipperary has asked about the goalkeeping situation. So what is your take on the goalkeeping situation with Darren not really playing much at West Ham? Will it be reputation or the future for which goalkeeper is picked? And then he's also followed up with a second question on Joe Hodge. When will he be capped? So the goalkeeping situation first, Stephen.
Yeah, I think we have some injury problems in goal at the moment. Darren Randolph. I've been speaking to Darren over the last few days, and he, West Ham have shut him down at the moment. In that he played recently, and started the game really well, but obviously the defenders had to take the kickouts in the second half, and that was very unfortunate, because he's had a kicking issue for a while, on and off, between his hip and initially a thigh injury and then a hip injury, and it's caused him a lot of anguish, and he, Darren won't be fit to be selected for the camp for this game, for the March window. That's just unfortunate. He just had that period of injury where they haven't been able to quite address it. He made a comeback, and then he just had greater problems with it. So it's just very unfortunate. Queeveen is injured at the moment as well. Obviously has a slight abdominal tear. So we're just hoping that he can be okay, and he's due back training at the weekend or next week. So we'll see how he goes, and fingers crossed he comes through okay, because he's very potential. He's played 5 games for Liverpool, and he's been first class in all of those games. And I had him for 10 games with the under-21s, and he was terrific. And Mark Travers was on loan at Swindon, doing really well, but he's been recalled by Bournemouth, but has been a substitute because they have a very experienced goalkeeper there at the club. So that's been frustrating for him. He was enjoying his loan period, but they had a recall on the loan. So Gavin Bazunu, who we really like as well, is on loan at Rochdale for Man City. Obviously, he's very young, but he's doing having a really good season. Kieran O'Hara's lost his place at Burton at the moment, and the new manager come in and just Kieran lost his place, but I'm sure he's good character, and he went his loan spell at Burton. He performed so well that they decided to sign him based on his form. So I'm sure he'll bounce back. Max O'Leary is on the bench at Bristol City. He's not getting game time at the moment, so he's driving. And there's a lot of other goalkeepers. Of course, Ian Lawless down at Oldham, and there are other goalkeepers, of course, and we're monitoring them all. Certainly Dean Kiley, as goalkeeping coach, is monitoring them all, and Ger Dunn as as a performance analyst, is clipping all the goalkeepers' clips, and we're monitoring them all the time.
JP from Leash, Stephen, with John Egan out, what have you made of Kieran Clark's form after a number of good games for Newcastle, injury-free?
I think John Egan is one of our best players, like, to be honest with you, and he obviously has a very small number of caps, competitive caps for Ireland, and he's 28 now, but I think he's one of our best players, and he's a terrific player, and he is a loss, leadership qualities as well, and he is a loss. On the flip side of that, Kieran Clark's form has been absolutely terrific, and, you know, we called him into the last squad in November just to get him into the squad because he hadn't played for Newcastle, he had been injured, so we weren't able to select him because he'd been injured, but even though he was just coming back from injury and hadn't played for Newcastle, we brought him in just to get him into the squad, and he subsequently has had a run of games at Newcastle, he's done terrifically well. I've seen him 3 times in the last few weeks, and in the last while I've seen him. I was at West Brom in Newcastle, I was at the Bridge. I was at Stamford Bridge with Chelsea, Newcastle. I've seen him up in Newcastle earlier, you know, as well. And so he's done terrifically well. And the fact that he's left-sided gives you great options there. And yeah, he'll definitely be in the squad.
Good question here from David, and it seems to be quite a theme. A lot of questions are based on this, actually. So, do you think more players need to follow Josh Cullen's example of playing outside Ireland or England? Feel the experience of playing in a top European league is way better than the lower leagues of England?
Yeah, Rudy Higgins was in Brussels to watch Josh play for Anderlecht on Sunday, and you know, some of the games are terrific, and if they get a good move, for example, Conor Ronan, who we like also, has gone to Switzerland. You know, he's gone, you know, it is the biggest club in Switzerland, but they're in the 2nd division. So that's been disappointing that he's not been in the top division in Switzerland, that we could really see him tested. But he is someone that we like, and of course Jack Bourne has gone to Cyprus, but he's obviously had the back operation. So yeah, it's something that we, you know, there was initially talking last year of Quevian going to the Eredivisie, for example, and to play in that league, and that would have been good to see, so yeah, I think it is an interesting option, and a good option, and yeah, I think it's worth exploring, especially a club like Anderlecht. If they're going to be in Europe as well, it's brilliant, and a club like Anderlecht is a big club, and you know, it seems to be a good move for Josh.
We'll do a couple more questions now. I'm just conscious of the time, and I'm guessing a lot of you need to get on yourselves for your evening. So Mark has asked a really detailed question here, Stephen. Hi, Stephen. Just looking at your pressing examples, do you think that there is a danger that superior teams may be able to bypass that press, leaving our players out of position? Furthermore, the defence needs to push up to facilitate this higher press, but our defenders are not quick and can be exploited with balls in behind into the massive space. How do we find the balance between pressing and being pragmatic in defence?
Yeah, I think I think off goal kicks we'll always press. You know, we won't let teams out easily from goal kicks, regardless of who we're playing. I think when you go up levels, obviously if you play Portugal away, you're not going to be able to press high all the time against them, because you're right, they will play trio press, and you can be exposed. Distances between, you want to keep your distances between your back four and your centre forwards to a minimum. I think it's not accurate to say all the defenders lack pace. Some of our defenders, have reasonable pace, but we don't want big distances. We don't want them one hand. In the last campaign, for the Euro campaign, for example, probably the back four did defend deep at times. The team defended a bit deeper, but I do feel that our players are there. There is a balance, and this is the balance really. We found this is one of the issues that we found. Probably, I know. Kieran, what's the gentleman's name? Asked the question.
Mark.
Mark is, like, for example, I asked players to press high against Slovakia. At the time, James McCarthy was playing with Crystal Palace, who defended in a low block. Jeff Hendrick at Burnley defended in a lower block and get their shape as a midfield four. And Conor Hourhan, now Villa press higher now than they did last year, and they dropped off a bit. So you're asking players to press at a level that probably they're not doing at their club, and but they do take on board quickly, and they're well capable of it. I think they're all very capable of doing that, and they adapt quickly. And we do have athletic players, and I think we have players that have the characteristics to be able to do that. There's no point in doing it with players that don't have the characteristics to do that. And I think certainly that's one thing we do. When you're speaking to the young players like Knight, who's just so much energy, Malumbi, they're very, very quick across the ground. And people like Cullen as well, who come into that. So mobility of midfield is important. The energy of our forwards definitely have the ability to press, and the inclination. One thing about the Irish players is that you can't question their honesty, But I do agree there can't be big distances between your back four and your centre forwards. There has to be minimal distances. So that's that. You can't defend deep and press high. That's for sure. Yeah.
Getting a lot of questions. So Shane's question here pretty much sums up a few questions about the League of Ireland. Obviously, the League of Ireland set to start next week. Obviously, the President's Cup on Friday. Who's your pick for the League of Ireland Premier Division and First Division this season, Stephen? What are your thoughts ahead of the new campaign?
Yeah, it's hard to, I don't know. I think a lot of the clubs have been affected by the pandemic in terms of their finances. Difficult to build squads outside of the top two. Shamrock Rovers, of course. It used to happen to me every year with Dundalk. When we won the league, we lose our best player. Shamrock Rovers have lost Jack Bourne and Aaron McAniff, but they've signed good players also, and they have a very strong squad. Dundalk have a really huge strength and depth, and have signed a lot of players this year, so who'll adjust to the league, I'm sure, and players that are playing international football. So yeah, they have to be obviously the two strongest teams. But Dundalk finished third last year. Bohemians finished second, and that was great. It was a good achievement. Keith Long's done a terrific job at Bohs, and again, he loses his best players. He lost Ardaleahy the year before to Dundalk. He lost Danny Mandry this year to Shamrock Rovers, lost Danny Grant. So, yeah, I think Bohemians, Declan Devine's made some good signings this year. I expect that they'll be improved on last year. Just terrible that Cork have been relegated, because the Premier Division in Ireland needs a strong Cork. Like football in Ireland needs a strong Cork. It's second biggest city in the country. Turner's Cross is fine ground. I've been part of teams going there that have the ground's been just sold out, and I lost with Derry City back in 2005. I lost the league on the last day of the season in Cork, and you couldn't get a ticket for weeks. It was so we couldn't bring a crowd. Derry, we couldn't bring a crowd because it was just a sellout. And I think I've done obviously big matches with Dundalk and Cork over the years, but they're in the fourth division. That's their demise is hard to fathom, and so that's disappointing. And I think we need the clubs in the regions to be strong. John Caulfield has, done a fine job at Galway since coming in, and they could be strong contenders for promotion. It is a strong first division with Shelbourne again back in the first division, which was difficult to see mid-season. And certainly, there was a team where a lot of the full-time clubs were in the Premier Division. Now the teams that have got promoted are part-time. Drogheda, of course, have come up, and Finn Harps have managed. Ollie Horgan and Paul Hegarty have done terrific work keeping Harps up again. So there is a gulf, I think, between the top teams and the teams at the bottom at the moment, and it's we'll have to see how Dundalk's new signings integrate. They might go really well, and how Shamrock Rovers go without Jack Borden and McAniff. McAniff is very influential as well for them, so I'm sure they'll be both very strong.
And the final question is slightly more on a human level here from the London Supporters Club. How you are, Stephen and family? How have you been throughout the lockdowns? How do you relax? Any box sets recommended? Any films recommended? All genuine Ireland fans can't wait to be back in stadiums and get behind you and the players.
Yeah, no, listen, there's 6 of us, we have 4 children, so all teenagers and at this stage. But yeah, it's been a challenge. 2 in college, 2 in school, sometimes 6 of us with all with laptops working, and I think it's been a challenge for everyone. I'm very lucky. I'm very fortunate. It hasn't affected. I think healthcare workers have been amazing. People have had to work in difficult circumstances all over the country. Have been, shown great fortitude. I think so. It has been tough for everyone. I think so. I've been very lucky, really, and to be able to go out and have a run, go and have a run, and you live near the sea, so I've been lucky to do that. I think, box sets. Yeah, I've been in England for the last for a good bit since Christmas. Of course, I've been in England a lot, so I've been traveling and traveling around the country, driving on my own, staying in hotel rooms on my own, just getting ready. And Keith Andrews has been brilliant. Of course, he's been working so hard, and all of the backroom team, all the analysts, Jared Dunn and his team, have been working behind the scenes, and all of the backroom team getting ready. The medical team all getting organised behind the scenes, working hard, and everyone really. It's a whole team, the whole staff of 20. You wouldn't believe. You think the job of the international manager, she must play golf a lot and have a lot of time, and that's what you would think. But there's plenty to do, and I think there's plenty to organise, and I think we have to prepare for a lot of scenarios. With Serbia, we don't know. The new manager's been appointed. They generally, have played 3-4-3 in the campaign, and they've been had different. They've been excellent at some games, like away to Norway, and then haven't hit the highs in other games. And then they went 4-4-2 actually in the game against Russia and won 5-0. So it's you're preparing for all eventualities and making sure we're right, and then depending on what players we have available, we have to have plan A, B, and C. And I think box sets, it's been terrific. Terrific shows on. Unorthodox is a really good, good one. I enjoyed that. The last one we finished with with my wife Siobhan was the amazing Mrs. Maisel, who's about a female comedian in America in the 50s. So that was interesting. Unorthodox is just about the Jewish community in America. A series is very good. So yeah, I've seen a lot of good ones over the last while, that's part of the lockdown.
Stephen, we're going to leave it there. I've got a couple of messages here from Declan and Tony from Chris and the Why Big Mandate, just thanking you on the behalf of those groups and for sharing your time and giving your evening to explain the campaign ahead and all your thoughts ahead of that. So hopefully everyone who has been listening tonight has really appreciated the time Stephen has given up, but also a good chance to connect with the supporters ahead of that first FIFA World Cup qualifying match against Serbia in a few weeks' time now. So, Stephen, thank you very much for the evening. Thanks for giving your time. Thank you for everyone who's attended. Stephen, any closing remarks?
No, we're really looking forward to the campaign. I know for supporters, very, very difficult not being able to go. I found it even difficult managing in sort of empty stadiums to start with. It takes you a while to really you feed off the crowd, and I think that's so likewise the players, I'm sure, but people are sort of becoming accustomed to it now, and I think hopefully we can get support back. Obviously in England they seem to be ahead of us, the vaccine rollout, and their plan to get supporters into stadiums. Like you think about the games that we have in September, which are terrific games. We play Serbia at home. We play Azerbaijan at home. Great games. We play Portugal at home in November, and these are great games. I know the Qatar game has been moved to Hungary, which is a tricky one, but the other side of that is that we get to play in October with, in the Aviva Stadium, so with a crowd. So that's the sort of the upside of it. And Qatar actually won the Asia Cup. They beat Japan and won the Asia Cup, and they played in Copa America. They were in a group with with Argentina and Colombia, so actually a very good side. So it's so they're interesting games, but the main games are the qualifiers, and we're really looking forward to the campaign ahead. Expectations are probably lower, low on the back of some of the results in the autumn. I do know that, and I think, but I know the players are very, very determined, and hugely determined, and we want to hit the ground running in March.
Well, thank you very much, Stephen. We'll end it there. Thanks for everyone attending. Really appreciate it, and hopefully we'll see you back in stadiums, like Stephen said, in the near future. So thanks for your attendance tonight, and we'll see you soon.